Meeting of Wednesday, April 21st to order. This meeting is being held under the executive order on remote participation. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately until it is rescinded or the state of emergency is terminated.
One day, yeah, I told her to take one day and not do Father's Day.
I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Collins.
Please alone.
Present. Well, I'll
Commissioner-
speak to myself.
Commissioner Stady.
I'm hearing some background talk there, but I'm present. Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, it's Mr. Polito. I muted
I'm
him.
hearing it too, but I can't see anything else lit up.
Okay. I heard somebody talking. Sorry.
Folks, check your.
It wasn't me.
Okay. Number 3, minutes of the open session meeting of April 7th, 2020, as revised for approval.
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes of the open meeting, April 7th, 2021. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
it's unanimous. Number 4, minutes of the open meeting of April 14th.
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
unanimous.
Aye.
Number 5, public comment. Anyone have any public comment? Do we hear from anyone? Mr. Buckley?
We have not ahead of this meeting. No.
Okay, thank you. Number 6, facility
Wait,
maintenance.
Mr. Chairman, we had a letter sent to us from Mr. Polito of Dedham, who's an advisory board member. Is that proper to talk about now or later? I do want to talk about that. Want to talk about later in the meeting?
Sure.
We can talk about it. You want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it under number 17, emergency items?
I have a couple of things that will tie into our discussion on vacation carryover too. So just as well, but I mean, that was on the public comment. He did send a letter and we had a couple of inquiries after that meeting. So it might be worth just bearing a couple of minutes to talk about that at the end. All right.
You want to do it now, Commissioner Shaw?
Oh, okay. Well, I think that, Mr. Polito has been a long and valuable member of the advisory board. He sent a letter which details a list of concerns he has. I looked at it. I'm sure you all looked at it. I wanted to acknowledge the fact that we received it. I know Michelle, who I spoke to yesterday, will be working with others to try to draft an appropriate response. Some of those questions I think are pretty easy. Actually, when I looked at them in terms of giving him some clarification. For example, the question about the maintenance, we have that on the record, what I said. The minutes even reflect it. I don't think we need to kind of revisit that and go over it again. It's already been debated in terms of what we did and what actually we took. But the other issue that did trouble me a little bit, fellow commissioners, was the, I would say, performance of our entire team at the last advisory board meeting. I was concerned that we didn't have perhaps the answers we should have had at that meeting. And, we're all part of a team, so I'm not signaling anybody out. One of the things that was raised by Mr. Polito and others had to do with the capital budget. And I think the Abraham Group has done a nice job of collecting information and putting together our needs. But I'm not sure if they've gone far enough, or perhaps we've gone far enough in terms of how we're going to fund those needs. For example, in year 1, which Mr. Polito, I guess, was looking for an answer for, we are targeting about $800,000 from an unappropriated balance to fund our capital needs. And which I didn't recall, and shame on me, was that $200,000 was also slated for improvements that are necessary for the Stoughton District Court. We also took $500,000 and we set it aside for next year's budget for fiscal 22. So I think the answer that he was looking for could have been easily, obtained if we had just remembered the Stoughton Court and what we had done. But the larger issue, I'm troubled by the fact that when you look at the Abraham's report, they're targeting in year, I think it's like 4 or 5, something like $6 million in capital expenditures. And I'm looking at that saying, is this what we really want? I mean, I know we have a collection, we have a wish list, if you will, but where's the funding? And what I'm trying to say in a nice, respectful way is I thought, and what I was hoping to get from a capital budget was that we'd have a fixed amount and that every year we would budget like most towns do in the Commonwealth. We're going to target 500,000, or maybe the number is 700,000. And I know the numbers have to go up and down because our receipts go up and down. And I'm fearful that the real estate market might crash, like we all say it might. So our receipts may be down. But I'm afraid that maybe $800,000 might have been too much. Perhaps we should have put some of that in stabilization. So my question in a general way had to do with perhaps taking a second look at the capital budget as it was raised by Mr. Polito and others. Perhaps we need to look at that a little more carefully and look at some funding sources. And I think as far as answering his letter, some of those things, I think, Michelle, I'd be happy to help you with it. And I'm sure you can get help from others as well and respond to him in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe, and I know, and I met with Michelle earlier today, that it's an ongoing process. As for the whole capital budget, from my brief experience here, there hasn't been, I mean, this is an attempt to try to get our arms around it, so to speak. A wish list is a good way of describing it.
Right.
So I think until this study is complete, which is going to dovetail with the budget, it's pretty, it's coming along pretty much together. And it's my hope that, it'll be done before the summer, around when we take the vote, so that we can take another look and analyze it. But, the question was, there were 3 or 4 items in the, I believe it was the IT budget, that were pointed out. There were $8,000 items or $10,000, and the question was asked, why weren't they put in there? I think at the time, the decision was made to cut it at 15,000 and put things 15,000 and over, stuff like that. But this is the first go around, so to speak. I'd like to let these people finish what they're doing. We have had several updates, maybe 4. And each time, it gets a bit of a better product. And I think that's what we're looking for. And then at the end, we'll all gather and see what the recommendations are. It's always a question of how we're gonna pay for it. There's no question about that. And prioritizing things. I mean, there's been stuff that's probably been on there a lot longer than the 5 years I've been here. So there's probably stuff that's been on there for 10 years. We're talking about the lighting at the Superior Court. We're trying to get that price. There was one other that I know they were having trouble capturing the price. Later on today, on this agenda, we're going to talk about the dome again. Why? Because, and Nancy will give her report, the prices are very high. They came in very high. So we're looking at it again. And I think we can do the same thing with the capital budget. But until it's done, I don't know. I'd like to hear the whole scope of it and where it fits in. And then each department can have, and everyone can have their say on it.
That's fair. That's fine. That's
And,
fine. I think that's a good point, Mr. Chairman. That's all. I was just, I'm probably being a little bit more cautious and a little bit more, let's say, conservative. And I think, I look at that and I looked at what happens if we don't keep getting those great receipts. We certainly have a certain amount of revenue we get, that, from taxes and fees. But if the real estate market takes a dipsy doodle in a year or two, what happens to our capital program? So that's all. I think I've said what I wanted to say. And I think we're probably heading in the right direction. But let's take a close look at it. That's all. Maybe a careful look. And maybe if we have to put a little money aside to stabilization, maybe that's not a bad idea either. That's all. And I think that was one of his points. I'm not going to respond to every point on his letter. That's not
Right.
the time.
No, I don't think now's the time, especially when, it takes time to get some of these answers back.
Right. But I think we can address many of them in a timely manner. And I'd be glad to, again, I'm sure we could all help out. If Michelle or anybody needs help on that, we'll kick in. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. On this particular item, Commissioner Collins, I know it wasn't on the agenda, but do you have any comment?
No, I mean, Tommy came up with a lot of questions and,
Okay.
you know, we've kicked it to the acting director and to the assistant director, and they're going to work their way through the questions one at a time. That's what you have to do.
Okay. Number 6,
Commissioner, Chairman,
I'm sorry, yes, Michelle.
Michelle Abadini. If it's okay, I'd like to respond to
Sure.
these questions.
Wait a minute.
So just wanted to
That-
talk about the budget and the questions that came up last week, and I just wanted to add some clarification to piggyback on what Commissioner Stady had said. So we ended the end of last year with a 2.4 million unappropriated balance. 500,000 of that went to offset the stabilization draw, and 200,000 went to the Stoughton HVAC project. The rest of that balance has not been spent. I know there were questions about that, so I wanted to be very clear. It's part of this year's unappropriated balance, which the previous director addressed the need to separate from the following year unappropriated balance with the Abrahams Group. But the fact of the matter is that roughly 1.7 million is still in place. Roughly 850,000 of that is proposed to go to capital. That is the FY20 carryover funding. The 500,000 in unappropriated balance funding from this fiscal year, FY21 funding, would fund the FY22 budget, just like 500,000 out of the 2.4 million funded FY21. So I just wanted to put that out there to explain that to everyone. And then the other question that I wanted just to bring up was, I know there was questions about the JAQ being sent to the educators. And I just wanted to say, as a point of clarification regarding the scope of the best practices review, financial management and operation analysis currently underway with the Abrahams Group, the RFP that included the original scope of services, which was approved by the commissioners and the finance committee in late July of 2020. As outlined in the RFP and the scope discussions between the project management team that include the previous director, Commissioner Shea and Dr. Childs, and presented to the commissioners on February 24th, the scope of this project was always only going to be focused on an operations analysis, best practice and financial review, not the educational programming of the school. This was based on a large part of the commissioner's request to the state auditor in January of 2020 and the finance committee discussion last spring. At no time were the educational program or education related staffing of the Aggie discussed as scope priorities. The issues that were identified as priorities, however, were financial operations related and dealt with the revenue limitations of the school county. So and these were outlined in prior management letter comments as well. So I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. I hope that
Okay.
helps.
Mr.
It
Chairman,
helps, but I'd like it for the full advisory board and all at once. It isn't my intention to go back over it at this time.
All right, thank you.
And
All right.
we have a couple other questions sent to us by Eric Beckerman of Avon also, which I just,
that project, I appreciate Michelle's response. I do, Michelle. And I got an email from Mike Mullen as well as a follow-up, Mr. Chairman. What happened was I spoke to Bill because it was a response to a letter we got from a interested, say, citizen of the county who wanted to know why the teachers hadn't got the questionnaire. I don't know if you saw that or caught that in your correspondence, but I was surprised that the teachers were not included in the questionnaire of the Abraham Group. And now that's been clarified by Michelle and Mike Mullen. So I'm satisfied. I don't understand it in terms of the process, but this all took place during my election. So I had no idea. I was running for office in July of 2020. And, you know, I'm looking at this now differently as a commissioner. But that was a response to another letter we got about how come the teachers didn't know about it, stakeholders, I think they were called, and they weren't included. The scope of services was different. And that was the job that Abraham was assigned. And that's what they did. So that just clarifies that. And Michelle, I thank you for the follow-up on that as well. And hopefully the person, if they're listening, has heard your response and will understand it as well. They may not agree with it, but they'll understand it, which I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. We do have an appointment at 1:15, but I'm going to do one more, number 6, and then we'll go to the 1:15 appointment, if you don't mind. Number 6, facilities maintenance, capital improvement report, and coronavirus update. John McGowan, please.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Commissioner. I almost forgot what I was gonna say. It's been so, I never go this long, you know. I'm usually right up there. What I have to tell you is I have no COVID, which is great news. I
Second
haven't had
week.
any. Yeah, it's been great. As far as the capital improvement, I have none of that either. So, but I'd be remiss if I didn't inform you. I've been hearing some news from outside that the state is looking into renting buildings with 5-year lease to hold trials. And what I know we're talking about capital improvement. I think somebody ought to look into courtrooms and see how we can retrofit it to allow for a jury to be in there, especially in Superior. It could be done, IT department might be able to do it with a computer-generated system, you know, but I think this is something that we should be looking at seriously because I don't like hearing 5-year leases on buildings to hold trials. They have Lombardos now. They're looking at other buildings on Route 1. And, you know, I just wanted to make you aware of it, that's all. I'm going to be taking some measurements myself, but I know it'd be a lot better if it was computer generated. That's about all I got to tell you. But I think this is something we should look into, making our buildings accessible.
Yeah, after the pandemic, there's a lot of office space available. We all know that. We saw that. Because people are
Yeah.
working at home, right? So you people who have these buildings, you got a feel for them. They have empty buildings. They have empty space, and they're probably working, you know, hard to find another utilization. But yeah, I would support whatever you need to do to make sure our own court buildings are being utilized, John. I mean, if
Yes, well, there's a lot of rooms that probably couldn't be able to use, you wouldn't be able to use for a 12-man jury. But from what my understanding is, they're looking for a 12, you know, the lawyers won't go and have a trial there with a six-panel jury. They want a 12, where they're representing their clients. And you could up in the main courtroom in Superior, but, you know, you don't want to go in there and start making, you know, taking out furniture and this and that. But when they filmed the movie up there, they took a lot of stuff out. They took the witness stand, they took all the benches out and flew them out to California. And they put chairs in there, and there was a lot more, it seemed like there was a lot more room than there was with the benches. It's just something to look at. I think we should start looking at it. Because if they get comfortable in a 5-year leases wherever they go, it doesn't sound too good for us.
yeah, I would agree.
And I'm at the tail end of a mediocre career, but other people aren't. I want to just see if we can keep this going, as same as you.
You think we should talk to DA Morrissey, Mr. Chairman? Maybe to get
I
his.
believe we can, and I have, however, I've got nothing officially, and I'm not sure. He's well aware of the Lombardo's endeavor, but last thing I heard is that's been held up too.
No, they're having trials down there presently.
Really?
Okay, that's
Yep,
good.
they have 2 courtrooms set up down there, and what I heard was disturbing to me was they wanted a building down here on Route 1, and the owner of the building didn't want to commit to 5 years, which sounds you know, unusual to me, but you know, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. They're already having trials down in Lombardo's, and they're looking. So, you know, I'd love to have them come back here, but if the lawyers won't try a case without having a room for 12 jurors, we should try to look into see if we can make room for 12 jurors. Just a thought. I'm just
No,
making
it's a
you
good
aware
one.
of it. That's all.
Maybe we should take a little pilgrimage to Lombardo's and try to call our clients, our tenants, and see if
Yeah,
they'll
well,
give us.
I just wanted you to, if we have any capital improvement money, laying around, I mean, that'd be the way to use it. If I know that I was down, Stoughton with, was at Rentham with Commissioner, Stady, and we were approached about moving the witness stand, reconfiguring the clerk's benches and stuff like that. And that's where you'd be using the capital improvement money. That's what I'd use it for. I don't know what you want to use it for, but that's what I'd be using it for. Making it accessible down there.
Are you looking for direction from the commissioners to say, take a look at these things and come up with some figures? I mean, these things, they get reimbursed. Any improvements we make get reimbursed though, right? By the state, or am I wrong?
Yes.
Well,
True.
If we're upgrading a room and we're trying to accommodate jury trial, it seems to me we should be looking into it then maybe, and maybe you should proceed, but I'll defer to the rest of the commission. I mean, makes sense. Maybe check into it, look into it, come back with some numbers, and then see if we can work on it. As Chairman Shea said, our capital budget isn't set in stone yet. Maybe we need to take a look at that in terms of where we can generate, future revenue and serve our purpose, which is the courts. So I'm for it.
It'd involve, the best way I would think would be to do it would be computer generated. I don't have that knowledge. I might as well have a rock on my desk, but IT people, they know it's a software that you could get. You go up there, you measure the room or take pictures. I'm not sure how they do it, commissioners, but it's just something that we should look into.
Well,
I don't want to keep bothering you with that. I've said enough.
they're not bothering us. I think it's,
But that's about all I have to say.
I will get back to you, John, and you and I are gonna go on the road, but we're not gonna go out of the county, so don't bring a lunch.
Well, I figured you'd be buying it.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Two things. One,
Mr.
I'm at the
Buckley.
front end, to juxtapose against the county maintenance director's position. I am at the front end of a mediocre governmental career. And I'm also always down for lunch, as everyone well knows. But to the points raised, I think they're well thought out. It probably is a point of departure. We can, as a staff, initiate a dialogue with our contacts in the trial court just to get a sense of what their plan is. And we've had sort of sporadic conversations. I mean, there were a lot of conversations, obviously, when we were talking about planning all the great work that the maintenance department did around the barriers, around the spacing, and the like. And as things begin to turn on, I think it might be, there were a number of times Mike Mullen, myself, and the director of maintenance, we walked through Quincy District Court, we walked through Stoughton. We met with individual judges, who had concerns about placement and the like. But I think it might be good for us to, just as a staff, get a sense from our contacts what their plan is, and if it is changed beyond to kind of really get firm confirmation. Are they moving in a Lombardo's fashion, or what is their plan for a year from now, 2 years from now? How are we, and really kind of clarify. And I think Mr. McGowan's staff has been doing a great job, but we've sort of been working with what's in front of us. But I think it would be good for all parties to get a sense of what's the trial court thinking 3 months from now? What's the 6 month from now plan? And so that can sort of help us in our, and so we're being proactive. So if through you to the commissioners, if we can begin that process as well. And maybe when we have some information, report back at a Wednesday meeting about what we've heard from them. I'm still in for lunch.
thank you. Okay, more to follow on this. I think it's more than reasonable to ask the Abrams Group, since we're not complete the list, the famous list, if we were to, under maintenance, put in a request to study, reassembling court space to make it more receptive to jury trials and making it more receptive to bringing people back into our courthouses. There's always, especially in Quincy, there's always the issue hanging over us that, we need a new Quincy court, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we're working with the state on that. It's been going on a long, long time, but the money, I believe, is in the budget. But, every now and then we get an update, and there is one scheduled. We just tried to schedule today, so I would make it part of my thinking. Speak to the Abrams group, and then with John, see if we can't come up with whether you hire an architect or hire a person that allocates space. I'm not exactly how it's done. I've seen it done though, and how they figure square footage, et cetera, because all of these buildings are old. I like the looks of some of them, particularly Brookline, but you go there and it's a pretty small room. There's no question about it. But I don't know how this isn't, and I'm only worried about our courthouses, but this has got to be a statewide problem. And, I know that the probate court, and I can't speak for them at all, but I know that people would like to return to Dedham Center from Sharon, both probate and DA offices. So maybe the reutilization of some of our space is in the cards. Got to look at when the Canton leases are up, et cetera, et cetera. And if now's the time to look at it, so be it, and we can make it a priority. It may even be recoverable on some of the CARES Act money that's still out there, but we'd have to call and ask, being that the CARES Act is being administered by the state. And we do keep good track of anything we spend that can be COVID related, and we have been getting our reimbursement, so. Okay, thank you,
Hey,
John.
Joe, can I jump in?
Sure, Commissioner.
Okay, so Dick and I, we're in court all the time, at least I am. And my court is different. I'm at the Department of Industrial Accidents, and we're not moving anywhere. It's just that COVID's impacted everything. There's a huge backlog of cases ready to go. And it's just building all the time. And I'm sure it's the same thing with Superior Court, district courts. They're in the same bind. And I can see why they're going to Lombardo's and different places like that, because they need the space, they need it now, they have to work on their backlog. It doesn't mean that they're not going to come back to our courts. I mean, COVID isn't going to last forever. We're all getting vaccinated. Ballparks are opening up again. There'll be, plastic screens up to protect people some more, but I think we'll be back in the courthouses. I think we'll be back in all the courtrooms. I don't see that as a big problem. So I like the idea that Bill had brought up to reach out, and I think Dick had said it, to reach out to the DA and just see where they're going with it. I don't think they're planning on being in Lombardo's forever, and I don't think Lombardo's wants them there. They're just happy to get some revenue for right now, and that's not their business. They're not in the courthouse business. They're in the catering business for events. So we don't want to overreact to this. I think it's going to come back to us. It's going to come back to us pretty quick.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7, presentation from the United Way. It's scheduled for 1:15. This is a carryover from last week. I believe that Mark Flaherty and his crew is here. I'm going to have Michelle confirm that, and we're going to have a brief presentation because as of 3 weeks ago, the commissioners voted to join United Way and make it available to all of our employees. And we've agreed for a brief presentation after our meeting with the principals, and today's the day. Was going to be last week, but we moved it over till today. I
Thank
see you,
Chair
Mark.
Henry.
Yeah, how are you doing?
We're good.
That's good.
Go
Yep.
ahead, just introduce yourself and
Mark Flaherty, I'm the labor liaison for the United Way in Norfolk County in Boston. I have my counterparts, Matt Hayden, who's going to give you a little presentation. He's our corporate relations person, and he's going to introduce a free platform for you guys. Also, Tom Rach from the Merrimack Valley. But I want to thank you all for taking the time, giving us the time, and I know you guys are very busy. As the United Way across Massachusetts has been responding to the needs of the Commonwealth, most pressing issues, partnership with our networks, our community-based organizations since our beginning of the COVID-19 crisis. It's a new challenge for us, but we are undaunted. Since March, we have supported over 540,000 people and 640 nonprofits. We basically also, and I'll make it brief, we've done 2 food banks in Weymouth and Quincy since last March. And we're going to Braintree this week. That's their second round. We've also partnered with our unions and the United Way on a coat drive. We took care of 854 kids in Norfolk County this past summer of 2020 in the fall, and for coats, jackets, and mittens for kids, and hats. And I'll just tell you, for food insecurity, you are #1 in the United States, Norfolk County. And that could be verified in the Boston Globe article. We're glad to help and work, with the people of Norfolk County. And that's why we're reaching out today to join us in partnership in a drive. Not looking for a lot of money. A campaign that will handle some of the, Communities Can't Wait program. Last week in Quincy, we had a food bank at the middle school. We're collecting food. We had 12 residents that came up to us looking for food. And it's not only Quincy, it's everywhere we've gone. 34 food banks since last March, and another one this week and more coming. So when I'm asking to partner with us, I'm not looking for a lot of money, and basically a cup of coffee, $1 from an employee, $2 to support what's going on, the insecurities of Norfolk County. So we're reaching out to different towns and cities, unions, all over the place to revisit some of the drives that were left standing years ago and try to revitalize them now. So it'd be a great thing, I think, to work together with you. And I'm going to turn it over now to Matt Hayden from our corporate relations team that will explain the platform that we can offer to you guys. Matt?
Thanks, Mark. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us.
Hey, Matt.
And to echo Mark, thanks for the support over the time during COVID to give back to the community. We really couldn't do it without our counterparts in the municipalities. And there's a great need that we've all seen, and there will continue to be after COVID. And we're talking with a lot of our city partners to say, hey, what can we do to continue meeting those needs and give back to our neighbors? Just to level set, how much time, I don't want to take over your agenda, about how much time do I have?
15 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks. I will make it quick. And the goal here today is to provide you a high level view of a platform we can use for employee giving, for employees to be able to give back to nonprofits that are near and dear to their hearts, or to give back to United Way and United Way to support programs that are giving back into your community. So as I'm talking, feel free to jump in and can someone enable me to share my screen?
Bill, can you do that? Just a minute, please.
No problem. United Way is going high tech, so.
You should be all set.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Is everybody seeing this?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So United Way, everybody, I'm assuming on this call, I'm going to work under the assumption that everyone's familiar with United Way and the work we do in the community. And about 3 years ago, we partnered with Salesforce, the tech company, to really bring United Way into the digital age and to provide our partners a new way to give back, to engage in their community beyond just running an employee giving campaign. And this is where this platform comes from. This is a partnership between Salesforce and United Way. And this is a demo site that we've created to show you what it could look like if we created a partnership between Norfolk County and United Way to run an employee giving campaign. So you can see up here in the top left, barely, it's a little small. The county seal, we can customize this color in the background. And what this site allows you to do as an individual, you can track your philanthropic giving, see how much the company's given back, see those areas where people are giving back to. So you can see a lot of people, this 17% are giving back to housing and homelessness. But like I said, the real purpose of this tool is to run an employee giving campaign and connect employees to nonprofits that they want to give back to. And this is what it would look like. If you've done a United Way campaign in the past, some of those might have been on paper. You could fill out, write in your nonprofit. Now people can do this either on the website or on their phone. There's an app for iPhone, there's an app for Android. But you can come in here, we can put any language in here, we can put imagery here. You can track a goal. So again, people are seeing how their gift is going right back into the community and helping a larger cause. And we can call out content here of, hey, here's what your money is giving back to, and here's how you're helping. On the side, an individual can select to give via payroll, they can give via credit card or check. I'm just going to show you what this looks like on a very high level. It shows 26 pay periods, and we work with your administrators to upload files so we can work on different pay periods. So if you have some people that are paid monthly, some people that are paid bi-weekly, we can work with each one of those groups in this system, so they'll be able to see. And you can add recipients. So if you really like the work that Pine Street Inn is doing, you can give back there. Or let's just do the Weymouth Preservation Society. Oh, that's in Ohio, so we're not going to do them. The Greater Boston Food Bank's doing really great work during COVID, so I want to give back some money to them. You can assign your designations. Some fun confetti, and then live time, that's added to this total. So as people are engaging with the platform, they're going to see their gift go into this total. What most of our partners do is they would open up a campaign like this for a 2-week period, allow people to opt in. After the 2 weeks, we would send you a payroll file and say, here are the individuals and how much they would like deducted out of their pay. You would just send United Way one check. It's, I think, quarterly is what most of our partners are sending us right now. And then we handle all the designations and pay out to nonprofits. So it's seamless for the county to interact and give back. Makes it easier for your employees to give back to their community. And then you can track high level what that impact is. Any questions as I go through that really quickly?
Matt, may I, Mr. Chairman, real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, Matt, vehicles of payment, I went over it really quick. Credit card, payroll, do you have PayPal or Venmo also options or not?
We do not.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Just asking. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And we can turn cash and check on as well. And when someone makes a gift in that format,
Mhm.
they would be sent an email confirming their gift with instructions of how to make that payment, of where to mail the check to, or how to complete that transaction.
Yeah, looks great. Thank you, Matt.
The other piece of this platform, and this is a step up from the classic United Way tool, you can also, as you see on this tool, down here we have and this is just as a demo site to show you, other things you can have, and Mark touched on our food drive. You can have volunteer opportunities as well on this tool. So if we were going to do a food drive and wanted people to sign up, you could have all the information in here, the date, the time. There's 100 slots available for people to sign up. Very easily, you click sign up. You can sync this with your Gmail, your Outlook. And now you can see now there's 99 slots remaining out of that 100. So if there is a food drive coming up, we can work to create this card, and people can come in and access it to see, hey, we're volunteering here. Or if there's a habitat build coming up, you can put these types of opportunities on this site. Individuals can also search for opportunities that are available in their community. So if you come up top in the search, and you want to search volunteer opportunities in Weymouth, Mass. And you see all of these opportunities that start to come up. And so if I'm an employee sitting at home on this Saturday, it's going to be a beautiful 70-degree day, and I want to give back, I would come in here and search and say, okay, here's a great opportunity for me. I can come to this site and complete sign up and go and be a good citizen and community member. So that's available as well as part of this tool. It's an extension of the campaign. You can also use this as a device to communicate other items that are going on. So you can say, hey, here's what's going on in the DA's office, link out to other sites that you have. So you can link to sites you have on your website. Can also include video, and this is really just to show you the functionality that exists on this tool beyond just a classic employee giving campaign.
So you're saying the county commissioners could have that site where it says Mike Morrissey? We could have our own like that? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So we could you can personalize this as much as you'd like.
Mhm.
What we're doing with companies that have Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, for example, is on this platform. And what they're doing is down here, they have a tab that says, see what's going on in your office location, because they have offices in 5 different states. And you can click on here, and then it'll link to each specific office. So you can use this to really disseminate information, provide updates. We see this as an interactive intranet, if you will. Instead of, hey, go find this form here or this form. This is a way to really engage people in a different format.
Great. Interested in that. That's great. That's great.
So the one thing I will say, this is the direction we're hoping most of our partners want to go with us, because it is more engaging. It allows people to give back more than just clicking a button and donating. It allows them to be a part of their community. This does take us a little more time to set up, about 6 to 8 weeks of implementation, just to ensure that we have all the pieces in place, that we can build all this content out with you. I will say the city of Boston just launched. We were about a year in the works, and COVID slowed us down a lot. We just launched last week on One Boston Day with them. But we're seeing more cities, municipalities go on this platform as a way for them to communicate and engage their staffs in the community in a different way.
Good.
So I'll stop sharing there and open it up if there's any questions.
I do have a question, Matt. Can you designate where you want your donation to go?
Yep. So
i.e. the food pantry, the Boy Scouts, the what, you know?
absolutely.
I
So,
remember the last time I was in the United Way, and it was a long time ago, that you could designate, you know, I want my $2 to go to the Boy Scouts or something. I was just wondering if you still have that option.
yes, sir. So
So you,
as I was typing
when
in
we
like
fill
Pine
out the
Street Inn,
enrollment card here, we can designate if we want. I mean, you don't have to.
exactly. You can, it either goes directly to United Way or you can designate to a nonprofit of your choice. In this system, there are 1.4 million nonprofits preloaded. So if you start searching, it'll bring it up for you. But if it's the Weymouth Food Pantry, I know that's not in this platform. All you need is the tax ID number, and you can designate to them. So you can designate to any 501c3 if it's an open campaign.
But it would still go through you
Correct.
because we're, yeah, okay.
And we'd make those payouts on the back end. Yep.
Any other questions?
Excellent job. That's great.
Very good. Now, Michelle,
Nice
we're
job,
ready
Matt.
to go with the packets, correct?
Yes,
Michelle?
they were sent out with the open enrollment information. Yep.
Okay, and that's all, it's for a month with 3 weeks left, or is it just starting?
It will start July 1.
Okay, but when is the open enrollment? Just,
Open enrollment is April 15th to May 15th with
That's
an
right.
effective date
okay,
of
that was
July
my
1.
question. Okay, last call for Matt and Mark.
Yeah.
Well,
I
sign us
just-
up. We're signed up.
Okay.
And I think it's the right thing to do. And I know the commissioners were very enthusiastic, so
and-
by
and-
July 1st, the money will start.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mark?
should Matt get up maybe a hold of Michelle for any questions that she might have?
Yes,
Are
yes.
You guys, okay,
And if it go, you know, if she gets hold of us or, you know, we get right back to you. But
all righty,
make Michelle the contact person, comes under her bailiwick anyway.
okay.
Personnel matters.
I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Support.
Yep.
Nice to
Thank
see you. Good job.
Thank you.
Keep the good work up.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Back on our agenda, number 8, old business. Michelle, do we have any old business that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's not on the agenda, okay.
No.
Number 9, personnel matters. We have 1 at Wollaston Recreation and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 at the agricultural school.
I'll move
Whatever.
I'll move notice of contingent employment for Stephen, I'm gonna say Toner of
Mhm.
North Attleboro, as substitute custodian for the rate stated effective 4/22/21.
Okay, we're gonna take one vote on all of these. So if you want to do them all, go ahead, please.
All right,
I don't think we have to go through 12 of them.
yeah,
So the
I,
contingent employment, that's different. So you have one at the recreational facility, you have one at the Aggie, that's fine, those 2. But then you have 12 resignations of a substitute instructor and substitute custody.
Okay,
No, just substitute instructors. So I don't think you have to go through each name. I think we can just say that we're okay with each of these. Is that right? I move all the personnel matters up for consideration.
you
all
read
right.
my mind. That's, I just wanted to do the employment separate. I figured that was a separate
Right.
motion, but maybe.
Yeah,
vote
I'm
on
fine
that.
with that. So
Yeah,
So
let's-
I'll second your motion for the employment of Mr. Toner for the substitute custodian. Joe, you want to do that?
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so all in favor of Mr. Toner being added on as a substitute custodian? I'll make the motion.
Yeah, yeah, that's,
All in favor of
All right.
contingent
Okay, so
employment?
the next
That's
one will be,
unanimous. That one's unanimous. The next 12 are resignations of substitute instructors.
right.
right, so I'll make that motion.
Right. I'd second the
adopted.
motion of Commissioner Collins to record as our vote the resignations as presented on this date for those individuals as stated and for those dates as listed.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor of these resignations at the agricultural school of substitute instructors?
All right,
Aye.
Unanimous.
okay,
This-
and then we gotta jump back up, Joe. There was a notice of
Correct, there's
contingent
one more at
employment
the
for
Wal-
Isabel Murphy of Quincy as seasonal pro shop employee. I'll make the motion.
Where is that one? I'm missing it.
It's just above where it says Aggie School there, Dick.
Aggie School.
First
Okay,
one,
yep,
Commissioner
got it.
Stady.
I've got it. Okay, I'll second that. That's fine. Yep. Thank
Motion made and seconded to grant the contingent employment for a seasonal pro shop employee effective 4/22/21. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That completes personnel.
Dick, you want the
Payroll and-
warrants?
Oh, yeah.
I do
can
want the
handle it.
warrant. Payroll and expense warrant for
Let's-
approval.
Let's get that opened up there. 1
One,
second.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, I've just got to, I was so enamored with with that presentation. They did a great job. Where are we? Warrant. Oh, my God. I probably
Number
can't-
10, Commissioner.
No, I can't call it up if I can get it.
All right, I'm gonna jump on it.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter. Go ahead. Say it.
Okay, motion to approve county weekly payroll 21-42 in the amount of $132,675.78.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
it is unanimous. Next one.
Aggie BI weekly payroll $327,685.73. Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
unanimous.
Next one, county
Three.
expense warrant 4/3/21 in the amount of $29,490.58. Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Number
Last
4.
one, Aggie expense warrant 4/3/21 in the amount of $141,544.12. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for the warrants. Number 11, bid openings. We have no bid openings today, Nancy? We have none, okay. Number 12, contact awards.
None today.
None today. Thank you. Number 13, Assistant Director Buckley, report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did cover with all the legislative things surrounding the budget from last week. On Friday, we did receive information from the Treasury Department, which was sort of a guideline, just asking that and reminding us to sort of gather our paperwork, figure out what banking institution we would receive the first half of ARPA money into. There's also a series of federal reporting requirements and websites and logins that we're getting up to speed and getting the correct people. You know, Joe Diorio is working very closely with me from the Treasurer's Office to make sure everything is ready to go for about 20 days from now when the first set of ARPA monies are distributed. So we're sort of hopeful that this email was on Friday was a precursor to the actual guidelines, which we're hoping to receive again by the end of April. We have continued to hear from town managers. I was on a call with a few of them this morning. One thing that was very interesting that happened literally an hour ago, which I have calls into now to confirm. Brian Howard, who the chairman will know, who's the town manager of Randolph, former town clerk, relayed to me a conversation he had with Senator Warren's office, where Senator Warren indicated that it was not the senator's intention that any of this money came to the county. This money was earmarked for the cities and towns, and that it was a sort of, the way he described it was an error of legislation that she is actively working to correct in the guidelines to make sure that the full amount of monies go to the individual distinct communities within the Commonwealth. So obviously, there's a lot of daylight between that conversation and the conversation we've had, say, with Senator Markey's office, who's taken a much more measured approach. So we're now, as far as the ARPA monies are concerned, that's priority one is understanding the senator's perspective and how that, if we can glean anything of how that will affect the guidelines that will be coming out in the next 20 days. So I just wanted to report that to you. I have no substantiation yet, but that was brought up in a meeting that he said he had with a number of her staff members. So we'll move on from there. But we continue to be in a holding pattern, and hopefully by next week or at the very latest the following week, we'll have the guidelines in and be as a collective staff and across county lines working together to really tear them apart and understand them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's got to be
This-
somewhat disparaging though to hear that from Senator Warren's office. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Because I mean, we have quotes from other legislative leaders of our state and federal government that said it was a deliberate designation of the county as the best entity to receive the money. So it seems like we're having a lot of input and, we're going back and forth. Typical, we're getting nothing done. No one's fault, but yeah, here we are still spinning wheels. So hopefully we'll get this resolved. I did see though, the banking guidelines in terms of when the deposit comes in, they're very strict. So we should be obviously be in contact with Treasurer Bellotti if and when that payment comes to make sure that a bank is set up or a couple or whatever.
Well,
you know.
If I may, I met with Treasurer Bellotti this morning. However, there isn't a day that goes by that we probably don't correspond about this.
Sure.
Director Buckley keeps us hooked up, but either way, we have to be ready to go at a short clip. I even spoke to Treasurer Tom O'Brien of Plymouth County, who has more experience than us, only in that he did the CARES. So some similarities, but this is different. But he related how the CARES came about, et cetera, which we all know and we're not going to revisit. However, he doesn't feel the same way this time. And nobody, and this is as of 8 o'clock this morning, nobody has gotten one notice from the Department of Treasury, which is promulgating the rules. And it's very, very difficult here. So, but I do expect push to come to shove because they're talking about dates like May 11th.
Mhm.
This is right around the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world it can be expected to be involved in something as enormous as this, for lack of a better word, with not having the rules in front of you so you can make a conscious decision. So again, we monitor it every day.
Yep.
And this
did-
news
Right.
is disheartening, to say the least, but
I'm
you
with
know, even if that's true, you would think someone would write us a letter and tell us. Maybe all this uncertainty would be gone away because of it, but
One can only
we are on
surmise.
top of it, and Treasurer
Chairman, I-
Bellatti's on
I
top of
think
it. I
there's a
believe
lot
he's on this call, or he was a few minutes ago.
There's a lot of, I don't know, backroom politics going on in Washington about this. It's gotta be. There's nothing transparent coming our way, as you know.
It's going on at a different level than we,
Yeah. But
But-
I think, Billy, thank you for your email. And that memo, I hope to Treasurer Bellotti get a copy of that. That's all, because it has strict criteria for where the money, kind of bank the money can be deposited in. I'm sure he's aware of it, but we just want to, I don't know, they talked about a DUNS bank and all sorts of language. This is beyond me, but it must be a certain type of a federal bank that the money has to be in. That makes
Yes.
sense.
there are rules there's rules even on the size of the bank, Commissioner. I
Okay.
did find that
Correct.
out today.
Tom, in our conversation with Tom O'Brien, he shared with us, which is great. When they took the CARES Act money, they needed to split it between three institutions,
Right.
and that was to the tune of 90. So when we're talking about 60, I know Joe Diori has been doing yeoman's work on this, along with the treasurer doing the groundwork now. So we know exactly. We have a plan in place as to where to send the money. It's not like they're going to send us a big check with 67 million in it. That's what the work of the next week or so is to create a pathway so that the Treasury can deposit it and know exactly where it is. And there are reporting requirements before you even spend anything as well. So the system is called, there's ASAP, and there's a number of other systems, logins and the like. So we're doing the small stuff now, but it's very important to get it all correct.
Get it ready. It's coming.
Any other questions, any other comments about the American Rescue Plan? You can rest assured it'll be on next week's agenda.
Right.
Number 14, request from Registrar O'Donnell regarding supplemental fiscal year 2021 budget requests. We all have a letter from the Register and a copy of the motion, which I'll be happy to make when we hear from the Register. Registrar O'Donnell.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. Hello, everyone. And again, thanks for having me and for your consideration of this. Really, what's driving this request has been how busy and vibrant the real estate economy has been in Norfolk County. I know in the letter I gave you some details. For instance, 179,260 documents were recorded in calendar year 2020, and that's a 19% increase in document volume. And it's continued. The first 3 months of the calendar year 2021, we're still in the fiscal year. There's been a 46% increase in document volume over the same 3 months of calendar year 2020. And again, that's what drives the request. We bind the books, and because it's very busy and with the document volume, to give you a sense, I'm hearkening back, Peter, to when Barry used to hold these books up, we follow Barry's tradition and Paul's tradition in doing the books. But to give you a sense, for fiscal year 2020, which is from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, there was 1,118 of these books done. And the busyness of calendar year 2020 really started in this fiscal year. So to kind of give you a sense of where we are, through April 20th, I did this stats through April 20th, 2021, we've done 1,239 books. They're printed, but they haven't been bound and printed officially. So that's 121 more books through April than we did the whole fiscal year for fiscal year 20, from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. And this book I'm holding up is the last book on the shelf, which is 38709. And it only takes us, takes us to December 8th, 2020. So that's 662 books that are on the shelf. We have 557 more to get on the shelf. And that's only to get caught up through April 20th. Never mind what apparently is going to be a busy, end of the fiscal year between March, we're in April now, April, May, and June, the balance of April. So it really has been a busy time. And, left in group 2, that's where it is only $15,000 to take us through the end of the fiscal year. And it's really just an operational need. We need to do this. And I'm not even getting into the land court side, where on the land court side, we print certificates of title. They get in a little book. And for fiscal 20, that was 2,246 certificate of title books get printed. Well, we've issued thus far 2,000. So we're on track to exceed that, of course, pretty good. And we've only printed 1,021 books. So you see, we're behind in getting these books printed, and we're behind in looking what's going to take us through June 30th. So that's pretty much what is making up this request is, it's been a busy year. Again, to pay it, it's through deeds excise. The deeds excise has been vibrant and has, but there's been good collections. So these monies and the registry of deeds monies, we're not looking for county monies, would pay or fund this request.
Hey, Billy, I had a quick question. I don't have any problem with the books. Where are you going to put them?
Well, actually, a while back, we did put high density shelving. So we have the space, and at some point, we're going to have to revisit that. But people, they still use them, even though the building's been closed, obviously, with COVID. But we still have the space. We did some high density shelving, and again, we appreciate everyone's support on that. That was a few years ago. So we still have the room, and it's another form of disaster recovery between having the stuff on the internet, having the books if something happens on the internet or the microfilm, as we saw with the fire. So it's just another form of redundancy, albeit, again, some people like the old fashioned way of looking at the books and the indexes as well. But good question, and we still have the room.
Mr. Stady.
No, I'm fine. The registrar did a great job explaining it, and the source of funding obviously is there. It's just, I think, Billy, looking at the way things are going in the market, you're going to be even seeing busyness the whole year. Because even if it starts to tail off, there's such a backlog with people refinancing right now and buying and selling. They're jammed up. As Peter said, everybody's jammed up. The courts are jammed up. The real estate people I talked to are jammed up. So get ready. You're going to be pretty busy during the summer, but I'll support your motion. That's fine.
I appreciate that. And talking to lawyers and brokers, they, clearly they say it's busy. And you mentioned refinancing. That was one of the points I didn't make. I probably should quit while I'm ahead, but mortgages are up 80%. Those 3 months I mentioned in January, February, March, they're up 80%. So there was 14,000 mortgages recorded. Well, the mortgages, no one reads them, but those are the 20 to 30 pages you sign. So you can see it's not just the volume, it's what's coming in. A lot of mortgages, because the rates are, even though they've creeped up a little, it's still relatively competitive and relatively low compared to back in the day. People had 17% interest rates. These are pretty low.
All good. I'll make a motion.
Last call.
If you
Any
need-
other questions about the request for the fourth supplemental appropriation? This needs to be forwarded to the advisory board
Right.
to approve the fourth supplemental appropriation amount of $40,000 from present year fiscal 21 registry of deeds excise to group 2, subgroup 295, printing and bindery services. The money supporting this request would come from dedicated registry excise collected pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 64D. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just a point.
Yes, Bill.
of clarification and caution. This is obviously a great idea, but we may have other needs for a fourth supplemental budget. So like this, the school may come in and need something at the very end. So perhaps your motion could be to add this to the fourth supplemental appropriation. I just wouldn't vote it as the supplemental appropriation to go to the advisory board unless we had to add other things on top of it, or perhaps the register may need more in the future, because the advisory board's in a month. We may want
Okay, so Dick, you're making the motion on this, so you'd make the motion that this is part of the four supplemental, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a timing thing. If the registrar can wait on the funds, is this something he's waiting on? Can we have a?
Well, no, it has to go through, it has to go through the advisory board anyway,
Right.
Dick, so,
Right.
but what Bill is saying is, with your motion to move this, and we're all fine with moving it,
Right.
but this is just part of the four supplemental.
Okay.
It is
There might be other parts, that's
supplemental.
all.
It might be more coming.
Right, and not necessarily from the registry, but from other departments.
I hope he needs more books too. I mean, more books are great.
Is there a cutoff as to when anyone can submit a request for the fourth supplemental? I'm just curious.
I think good practice, through you, Mr. Chair, I think good practice would be looking at the May 19th advisory board meeting. It really should be the week before the 12th.
Yeah. Okay.
Because obviously the finance committee also looks at it as well, and we just want to give a little bit of lead time to be as transparent as possible. The finance committee approved the third supplemental right before the April meeting, but we just want to,
Got it.
for planning purposes, just kind of give everybody a little time.
All right, so that would move then to approve the fiscal year 2021 request from the Register of Deeds as presented as part of the four supplemental appropriation.
Second,
All in favor?
All right.
aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate
Number
it.
15, fiscal year 21 vacation carryover.
Oh, boy.
Commissioners, as you know, this was on last week's agenda. The year is moving along at rapid pace. Due to COVID and other circumstances, we have again a situation where people have accrued a lot of time, and we're trying to, in an orderly way, get to it and keep all our obligations. At your instructions, Michelle and I met and talked to Michelle McNulty, our Labor Council, and she gave us some suggestions. We then met at 10 o'clock this morning again and came up with the following recommendation that we're gonna make to you today for your discussion, and if you wanna pass it today, that's fine, because we're trying to do this as quickly, not as quickly, but get it out so people can start thinking of planning the rest of their year, certainly from now till October. So I'm gonna turn it over to Michelle. I used the boilerplate that we used from 2016, which is the last time it was addressed. And I dated it today, and it says, whereas the county personnel rules and regulations states under section C, vacation leave rule 3. In no case can vacation leave be accumulated for more than 1 year, except on the recommendation of the county commissioners and approved by the personnel board. In order to return to the intent of rule 3, the following provision is made. Effective June 30th, 2021, no employee of Norfolk County shall have more than 15 days of accumulated vacation leave on the books. Any leave beyond 15 days shall be deemed lost, and no compensation shall be paid for such loss. The county commissioners acting as the county personnel board may, upon written application, grant up to 1 year of vacation carryover to an employee based on a particular circumstance of this request. Such carryover and any current vacation leave must be used in the succeeding year or is deemed lost. These individual cases are exception and not set precedents to establish past practice. We also reached out to other communities and asked what they've done, and we've heard from Medway, Wellesley, Westwood, Sharon, Foxborough, and those are the towns that I have. And I'm going to ask Michelle if she has any additional comments. Again, the clock is ticking, and we'd want to make this available as soon as possible to manage this time. Generally, it's managers, but it you know, Michelle McNulty cautioned us that, you know, anything you do has other ramifications. So she has approved this language and verbiage. And
Mr. Chairman, could that be on the screen? Could you share that with us? Could you share what you just read on the screen for us to see, or is that possible?
well, one of the techies would have to do it. I just got it, you know, we got it done at noon,
Okay, I'm sorry. All
but
right.
I think, can we get it on the screen, Michelle?
Hold on. Let's see what we can do here.
She's smiling. And we can take it as an advisory for another week too. I don't want to jam it, but again,
No,
we're moving forward here.
Yeah. If you can't, you know, it's, I could just, I was looking to see if I had, so that just came up today then, just now. In other words,
we've been talking about it, but yes.
Okay. No, because I saw in our packet the information from Attorney McNulty, and I saw the comments from the other towns, which is very helpful.
Oh, good, good.
No, it was good.
My screen. Hold on. Can you see it? Is
I
that
do
not
not
working,
see it.
Bill?
No,
No, you should hit screen share.
I thought I did. Hold on. Screen share.
well, we have a
Top left.
previous,
For some reason, it's not coming up. I'm sorry.
that's all right. I can, Mr. Chairman Shea, you
Yes.
reference a template from July 28/16. Is that correct? So I can look at that a little bit. You
Correct.
mentioned,
And I passed it out last week.
right, I have that.
Okay.
So
I mean,
just,
I just for to keep the motion in somewhat of uniform order. That's all I used it for.
understood. So
If you want to go another week, that's fine too, but we
So
want to be able to get this out as soon as we can so that we're not chasing our tail again.
Is it going to be something spread over 3 years or just 1 year? Was it a 1 year proposal?
Michelle has that answer.
Okay,
Go
Michelle.
ahead, Michelle.
Yes, it's not going to be 3 years. What we're doing, to be honest with you, Bill, I just sent that to you. Can you pull it up? Currently, they're allowed to keep carry over 10 days. We
Right.
usually mirror whatever the contracts are. The contract is 10 days.
Right.
As Commissioner Shea had said, we reached out to legal counsel as well as town managers in many of the Norfolk County towns to see what they were doing.
Okay.
And under legal counsel's advice, they suggested that we could add up to 1 week. So it was either we give them the 10-day carryover, we could add 1 week. So we added the 1 week, giving them a 15-day carryover for 1 year. We can't really get into the following years, Commissioner Stady, because it's a contract year and I don't know what the contracts are going to be for FY23 and beyond.
Yeah, let me see if I can see that. So,
Michelle, was this recommended by Michelle McNulty?
Yes, I spoke to Michelle McNulty about the carryover time. And this was her recommendation, yes. I can
Thank you.
run the wording by her. This is the wording that we had in our personnel book. So we just redid it with the days that she said, but I can send the wording to her to have her approve it if you'd like.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I'm wondering out loud what the downside is. How many people are going to lose a lot of vacation time they didn't use? Though, I mean, it's because of COVID. It was an exceptional year, and I know a lot.
Not me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, oh,
Yes, there are people, I know John's on the call, and there are people.
Yes, and I'm one of them that are not going to lose any time. I won't be having lunch with you, I guess.
okay. John, I'm just looking in broader sense for what's fair and what's equitable. I was troubled by the fact that this also could have an indirect effect on union negotiations, from past experience. And Attorney McNulty did point that out.
Yes.
So we have to be careful.
Well, I'm not in the union, Commissioner.
Yes, I understand.
Neither is John Vignoni or Sheila. And we've been here every day since this thing started.
Yes, sir. Yep. Chairman.
And I'm not about to lose any time. I've already told you people that before. I'm not coming here every day, 7 days a week, and then have you take time away from me.
And
I already went through that.
And Commissioner Stady, just to mirror what John McGowan is saying, last year when we had COVID, they were allowed to carry over time. And it was a year's worth of time. And in John's case, it was even more than that because of COVID and they were working every day. So they carried over that time and they haven't been able to use that time. So that's pretty much where John is coming from. Is that correct, John?
Yes, it is, Michelle.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sympathetic. I understand. I also think, I thought I saw in there some language from the prior template, that said the commissioners can vote if a case is made on a case-by-case basis.
It's in this
That's correct.
template.
That's the last sentence, exceptions on a case-by-case basis.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get it.
I know,
over.
I thought the same, I thought that took care of this, but.
Yeah. I mean, can I just make a, I know I'm trying to belabor the meeting. I was just going to say as a member, I'm surprised. I'm surprised in a sense that we are still operating under a county personnel board. I was surprised we don't have individual contracts with these people. When I talked to Michelle earlier this week, I mean, one thing I talked to Mike Mullen about before he left was getting a contract with him, and how come we don't have a personal service contract with some of our key people? Maybe this might be something we can talk about at the next meeting, Mr. Chairman, or in future, talk about things like this,
We can do anything you want. I just, after talking to Michelle McNulty on 2 occasions.
Yeah.
She strongly urged the sooner the better to get going with it, to let people know. And she even suggested a date of October. They'd have to take at least 1 week by October 31st. And the second thing about contracts, we discussed this the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And specifically in Mike Mullen's case. And I called legal counsel and they told me that county employees under the legislation cannot, we cannot enter into contracts with them.
Ah,
I called today to previous director who was looking it up because they operate under the same premise, but I will probably talk to Michelle before
okay,
the previous director gets back to me, not Mullen, before, I'm sorry, before Mike.
right, okay.
And they said that we've tried it before and suggested it before, and legal counsel said you cannot do it. That came up at 11:30 today when we were talking about this whole issue. I have not talked to Michelle since yesterday.
But the Aggie school has people with contracts, correct? The Aggie's allowed to do that? Maybe because they're.
Aggie School has the director and the business manager, I know, on contract. And the
Right.
director of maintenance may be too.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
I know.
Something to talk about. Yeah, interesting, Joe. All right,
I
so.
was trying to,
Yeah,
Craig, frankly, when Frank left and Mike Mullen was moving up, I said, can't we give him a contract?
yeah, yeah.
I went out and asked, and they said, no.
Hmm.
I said, well, then, and I haven't looked at the site up because I didn't revisit it since 11:30 this morning. But
So-
if you're
so-
not ready, we're not ready.
Yeah.
But
Can we give it 1 week, or is Peter in a hurry to push this? Do you want to take a look, read it?
no, I am in a hurry only because she said the sooner the better, but whatever your wishes are, this is important. I can't remember a time since I came here in late 15 and in early 16, it was a big issue. It was a big issue in my first few meetings and maybe for several months, but it's back. And I know that COVID is an extenuating circumstance. I really, believe me, I do. But
Peter, what's your thoughts? I'd be curious, I'd love to hear your way in.
I'm okay with Michelle's proposal because it does allow us to look at a case-by-case basis. So if someone can't use their time and they want to come to us, we can address it. And that way people have a better idea as to, oh boy, I have to use so many weeks, I have to use so many days, I can start using them now.
Okay,
If we give it another week, it's one less week that they get to use it.
that's
Yeah.
Michelle's point, that's all.
yeah.
But I don't care about a week. It's gonna kill us.
All right. Well, let's go with it then. I mean, if they can make the case to us on a case by case, and I think makes sense to get something down and get it done. So I'm fine. That's I think it's a bigger issue. I think really we should look at maybe in a bigger issue, getting away from a personnel board and for some of our key people, and maybe we can legislatively fix that or something. I don't know, but we can't fix that today. So
Yeah.
Well, it's timely because we're gonna be hiring a director, of course.
yeah,
in-
that's what I was thinking
in-
about.
In the spring or early summer, and
Right.
we're
Right.
gonna look at it, we're gonna look at it again. I
Right.
don't disagree on a contract.
Okay. Okay.
Nope. Not for everyone, but
Yeah.
And Dick, with regard to legislation,
Yeah.
I'd rather burn the political capital on legislation for some change in revenue fees for us as opposed to ability to have contract, it's at least this year.
I agree. I'm with you. I know. I agree. I thought that too, Peter. I did. I don't want to go to the well too often. I know that. But I know it's just looking to make some small incremental changes. Maybe we have a new director coming in, and it'd be nice if we could offer that person, whoever that may be, a contract and even lock the person down. That way there's no obligation, expectation. You're here for a couple of years or something. But I understand currently we can't do that. We cannot. All right. So this case at hand, I would endorse, if you want to make a motion, that we go with the proposed language. Again, with the key point that we can let the people, if they have a right and they want to seek relief to directly to us, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
okay.
You want to read something for the record? It was 15
Motion,
days to
I
15 days?
can. Motion made and seconded.
Yeah.
To adopt the previously read policy
There we go.
as the Norfolk County Commissioner's policy for the next year on unused or vacation carryover. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And we will notify all employees and go from there. And I will find out the question about contracts
Okay.
before we hire an executive director. Thank you very much. Next subject, report of the county director.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have two small things to update you on. Infinite Visions, we are moving forward with the training since we got approval from the commissioners and the advisory board regarding the platform of the operational analysis and financial control overview. So we are looking now, we have dates, half days to set up the training between the treasurer's office and the school personnel. And I am working on finding dates that work for both at this time. And the last thing is the engineering land surveyor. There will be phone screens. We have 2 candidates and the phone screens will take place this week. And then we will move on to hopefully interviews next week, which would be coordinated via Zoom. And I will keep you posted on that.
We do have 2 candidates.
We do have 2 candidates, as I reported last
I'm
week.
very
Yes,
happy we have 2. It's better than 1.
I agree.
We're going to give it full vetting here with the full board.
Any questions?
Who is going to be interviewing those candidates, Michelle?
Usually when we do interviews, it's the county director, the HR person, the department head, and then sometimes it might be 1 or 2 people from the department. But since some of those people are missing from this category, I was hoping that all the commissioners would want to participate in that interview, as well as 1 employee from the department,
Sure, that sounds
if
great.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good.
Thank you.
And it will be done in open session.
Yeah, good.
Last call. Anything else that was unexpected to be on the agenda? Not
Yeah,
previously.
Mr. Chairman, the dome. What
Yes.
about the dome? You said you were going to talk about the dome? Something come up with it, or you had news about the dome or something you were going to talk about, maybe?
Not quite, but Nancy, in her professional opinion, in reviewing the 1 bid we had,
Mhm.
thought it was extremely high, and she's put together another bid and sent it out. So we're
Okay.
not, and knowing that not knowing we're on a time frame, but this is a big job and it's got to be looked at again. So I believe the architect allotted 800,000. The bid came in at 1,046,000, I believe, and some other contingencies. So I told her to bid it again, so we can do the very best we can. If that's what it costs and comes in twice, we got to re-examine it. But we're not going to take anything out. I know that. We're going to go the same way. But it's not ready. It went out, but it's not ready today. But if Nancy's on, I can ask her when she thinks it'll be ready. But
Chairman, could I? please?
yes, Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, it has, the project has been advertised in the paper, and the bid opening dates will be for the sub-bids will be May 5th, and the general bids will be May 19th. And then we're having a site visit on April 29th at 2:00 in the afternoon. And I do have several emails that'll be answering this afternoon to send them the plans and specifications.
And that's as quick as we can do it with all the advertising requirements, Nance.
Yes.
Okay.
Nancy, did you get that bid on the truck you were going to get out also? There was remember the truck we didn't get any bids for?
Yes, and we're gonna hold off on that for the time being. But it will eventually be going out again, but for right now, we're gonna hold off on the purchase of the utility truck.
Any reason why? Or just, it's not needed now, or?
I'd like to ask Rick if he could step in to answer that.
Sorry, Nancy, I was on another call. You need me for something?
Yes, Commissioner Stady is just wondering why we're not going to purchase the truck at this moment.
I would say it's not that we're not going to purchase it. I would say that based on the approach we took, Commissioner Stady, in trying to build out a specific vehicle specific to our use, we did not get that interest from the dealers or any other party. So I think for now, it's just kind of like take a step back, take a better look at it, and really kind of put it out in a fashion where we will get responses. Because we just felt that the way we did it kind of really tied our hands a little bit.
Right. I understand in talking to some individuals, utility trucks coming prepared to be utility trucks are sometimes a little bit more difficult. You might be better off with just getting a truck and then having it retrofitted, later on or something. So I thought that's where we were going. I thought we were gonna come up with a different kind of a proposal just for a truck, but.
Yeah, we're gonna go in that direction. And again, in the meantime, it's not something we're gonna ignore. It's just something that I think we need to take a better approach to, that's all.
Okay, all right, just following up. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Last
Thank you,
call,
Rick.
any other items? Not necessarily on the agenda. I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Yep. Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned at 2:31 PM. We'll be on next week. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.